What would you do if you found a hidden room in your house, and inside was something no one was ever meant to see? That's exactly what happened to one man, but what he uncovered will leave you speechless. Like the video and subscribe for more content like this. Ethan Carter had lived in his house for nearly 5 years. It was an old fixer-upper built in the 1940s and full of quirks, creaky floorboards, drafty windows, and the occasional plumbing issue. But nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to find. It started when he decided to renovate the basement. He had always found it odd that one side of the basement was smaller than the rest of the house, but he assumed it was just part of the design. That was until he knocked on the wall. Hollow. A hidden space? His heart pounded as he grabbed a hammer and started breaking through the drywall. Dust filled the air, and as he peeled away the last piece, a dark, narrow room revealed itself. Inside, there was a single wooden chair, a dim, flickering light bulb, and a set of old, rusted chains bolted to the wall. Ethan took a step back, his breath catching in his throat. What the hell had he just found? The room looked like something out of a horror movie. The air was thick, musty, as if no one had been inside for decades. On the floor, Ethan noticed something, a small wooden box. He hesitated before crouching down, brushing off the dust and prying it open. Inside were old, yellowed photographs. His stomach twisted as he flipped through them. They were pictures of people, frightened, bound to the very same chair in the room. Some were blurred, their faces unrecognizable. Others looked directly into the camera, their eyes filled with silent pleas. Then, at the bottom of the box, he found a notebook. The cover was worn, the pages brittle. Flipping through, Ethan's hands shook as he read the entries. Subject number 4 resisted. Had to reinforce restraints. Noise complaints from neighbors. Must soundproof walls better. Subject number 12. Didn't make it. Ethan dropped the notebook, stumbling backward. Someone had used this room for something horrifying, and whoever they were, they had documented everything. But the worst part? The last entry was dated March 2004, the same year the previous owner had suddenly moved away, without a trace. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears. The notebook wasn't just a record, it was a confession. Whoever had written these entries wasn't just an observer, they were the one responsible. He flipped back through the pages, searching for a name, a clue, anything. And then, in the margins of one of the final entries, he saw it. H. Porter. Final subject unsuccessful. Covering all traces before departure. H. Porter? Ethan's mind raced. Was this the previous owner? He had bought the house from the bank after it sat abandoned for years. The previous owner had vanished. No forwarding address, no contact. Just gone. Ethan grabbed his phone, his fingers shaking as he typed the name into Google. A few results popped up. One in particular sent a chill down his spine. Howard Porter, former schoolteacher arrested in 2005 for unrelated charges. Mysteriously released. Where is he now? Ethan's breath caught. Released? That meant he was still out there. And worse, what if he still watched this house? The deeper Ethan dug, the worse it got. Howard Porter had been a teacher at a nearby high school until 2004, when he was quietly removed from his position. No one knew why, but rumors swirled about students going missing. Nothing was ever proven. But then Ethan found something even worse, a missing persons report. Dated March 2004, the same date as the last entry in the notebook, the report described a 17-year-old girl named Lillian Hayes, last seen near Juniper Street, the same street Ethan's house was on. Ethan's stomach churned. Had she been here? In this room? He grabbed his phone, about to dial the police, when suddenly he heard something. A knock at the front door. Ethan hesitated. His heart pounded as he crept toward the door. Through the peephole, he saw a shadowy figure standing just beyond the porch light. A tall man, face obscured by the darkness. Ethan's breath caught. Whoever it was wasn't moving, just standing there. waiting. Then, a second knock, louder this time. Ethan stepped back. His mind screamed at him to call the cops, but his body was frozen. He watched as the figure shifted slightly, and for the first time, Ethan saw something in their hand. A notebook. His blood ran cold. The same size, the same color, the same one he had found in the hidden room. And then, the man placed it on the ground and walked away. Ethan stood there, frozen, staring at the notebook lying on his porch. For several long moments, he couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then slowly he opened the door and picked it up. The front cover had been altered. The name Howard Porter had been crossed out. Underneath it, in fresh red ink, was a new message. "You found me. Now let's play." Ethan's hands trembled as he stared at the notebook. The words, "You found me. Now let's play," burned into his mind like a brand. His eyes shot up. The street was empty. No sign of the man who had left it. He whipped around, scanning the shadows, the bushes, the street corners. Was he still watching? A cold sweat broke across Ethan's skin. This wasn't over. An hour later, 2 officers sat in Ethan's living room, their expressions grim. "You're saying this man left the notebook on your porch and then disappeared?" one of them asked. Ethan nodded. "Yes, and I think it's him. Howard Porter." The officers exchanged a glance. One of them, Detective Harris, leaned forward. "We've had eyes on Porter for years. We were never able to prove what happened to the missing girl, but..." He sighed. "We never thought he'd return." Ethan's throat tightened. "So what do we do?" Detective Harris took the notebook, flipping through the pages. "We'll run forensics, check the handwriting, see if we can confirm it's him." He looked up. "In the meantime, you need to be careful. Porter was never arrested for what happened in this house. If he's back, he might have unfinished business." A chill ran through Ethan's spine. The detective handed him his card. "If you see him again, don't engage. Call us immediately." Ethan nodded, but deep down he already knew. Howard Porter wasn't done playing. Howard Porter. He wasn't trying to break in. He wasn't hiding. He was just standing there, smiling. Ethan's breath came in shallow gasps. Ethan barely slept. Every creak in the house made him jolt awake. Every shadow outside felt like it was watching. He had installed cameras, locks, alarms, but still the feeling of unease never left. Then, on the third night, it happened. A notification from his security camera. His stomach dropped as he opened the app. The grainy footage loaded, showing his front porch. And standing there was him. Then slowly, Porter raised his hand and pointed at the hidden room in the basement. Ethan's blood ran ice cold. He knows. Before Ethan could react, the screen glitched. When the footage resumed, Porter was gone. Ethan stood frozen, the weight of the moment crushing him. This wasn't over. It had just begun. Ending lesson. Some doors are meant to stay closed, and some secrets are buried for a reason. Ethan's curiosity uncovered something horrifying, something that refused to stay in the past. The question is, what would you do if you found a hidden room in your house? Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications to be the first to know when the next story drops.